This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. If you're in a relationship that you're feeling is not supporting you, maybe there is some emotional neglect, maybe some emotional abuse, certainly physical. It's a whole different territory right there. How do you make that determination to leave? And what keeps you there? We are going to talk about that today with somebody that works with people all the time as a life coach, helping them have realizations, moving their life forward. And this comes from her experience. And she's written 2 amazing books along the way as well. She's our professional of the year. Sherry Canino joins us again on the program. How you doing today?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me again, Steve.
Great to have you back here. And you are somebody that focuses on the traumatic side of our lives. And a lot of us don't even realize day-to-day life, we get so used to it that there could be traumas riding there within our lives and relationships. And I'm sure you've heard this many times. I can't leave. I know I should, this is not the way it should be, but I know I'm not ready. I can't leave. So many different reasons. Have you heard that a lot from people that you work with?
If I had a penny for every time I heard that, yeah. And I totally get it because I was there, you know. The trauma bond is really usually what keeps people stuck. It's an addiction.
Let's go there. Let's go there because I've heard that term before, quite a bit actually, and not even 100% sure what it means.
So it's basically you get trauma bonded to the person. So you're not bonding over like, oh, I had the same trauma as you. A lot of people think that it might be that. They come in hot and heavy. They're giving you all the praise and love and attention that you've ever desired. And then they slowly pull it away. And so you get the highs of the dopamine hits in the beginning and everything seems really great. The love bombing phase, as it's called, I guess. And then you get the very lows with the cortisol spikes. And that's how you actually get chemically addicted to the relationship.
Nobody talks about this stuff, Sherry, that it is our brains producing chemicals. Yeah, that keep us around. Wow. And I never even thought of it that way. Certainly somebody may stay in a relationship that they know deep down inside this is not the way it should be because they don't have the strength, the courage, the self-esteem. They think until you do the work and figure it all out that you need that person. I can't survive without them because whether it's finances or whatever it might be, you don't want to be alone. I'm sure that's probably one of the number one things that people say.
It's not about actually though, but it's not about being alone. I was trauma bonded to my mom. I was up to like 4th grade. I could not be away from her. I would go in the bathroom all the way, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and cry because I was away from her. I was that attached to her. I was trauma bonded to her. That's not normal.
Wow. Now, was there anything that she was doing to keep you that connected?
Oh, sure. They pull you in with a little bit of love and then they push you away with a lot of not love, so again, it's the same thing, whether it's a child or not, and it's a child with a parent, the trauma bonding is the same. So they might do different things like, constant praise, like you're so great and you're so this. But then when nobody's around, because I was kind of the golden child, nobody's around, she treated me horribly, very verbally abusive, get out of my way. I don't want to, I got to clean. I can't be bothered,
Mm.
that type of thing. Go find something to do.
As you look back at it, why do you think she was doing that? What did she, okay, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that.
Control.
It's been said that hurt people hurt people.
Mm.
What was she hurting from?
So her mom was very abusive, physically, very neglected. She used to say, her mom didn't love her. And she was kind of like, I mean, she had six siblings, but she kind of fell like in the middle. And also in her family, the boys were the ones that were favored. She carried on that tradition. Um, they have a huge fear of abandonment. So they do this to keep the person around. My mom would have been, I believe she was borderline personality disorder with very high narcissistic traits. And so borderlines also have a thing where if you start to get too close to them, like they want you all the time, but when you start to get too close, then they feel like, oh my God, they're smothering me. Like, leave me alone. So it's a very much a push and pull. So whether it's your child, you're doing this with your child or, you know, your significant other. So that in itself, that push pull back and forth, that's trauma bond.
Wow.
That's a trauma bond in the making.
Mm.
So
Did you, when you were going, I mean, you were a child, going through this where you were so connected to her. At what point did you start realizing that, whoa, this is not the way it should be?
I don't think I ever realized it as a
Wow.
child. I mean, in the summers, I used to want to, I had an aunt with, my cousin was the same age as me, and I loved playing with her. We used to go there all the time in the weekends. They only lived about 45 minutes away. And she would want to take me for a week so that I could play with my cousin and have a good time. And I was fine during the day. And the minute like I stopped being busy and it was nighttime and I was just a little girl, whatever, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would start crying and she would have to take me home. And, she was like the sweetest aunt because she tried it every summer. Every summer, she'd have
Wow.
to take me home at the end of the night. And I never would be able to spend the night or spend a week. But yeah, she tried, but
Wow.
I didn't know that it was not normal because it was just me and I was a little girl, I was a kid.
Well, what's the difference between that and separation anxiety? Or is there a common thread going through there?
Um, at that age, at that age you should be able to spend the night at a friend's house or, you know, um yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's rooted in anxiety, you know, and I think there is like you said, it's kind of the same thing, but it's a stronger because it's the chemical imbalance or the chemical addiction, if you will. I mean, because that's really even Professor Sam Vaknin will say it's a chemical addiction. Like that's when you go through with that withdrawal. I did with the last guy that I was with, who ended up being a diagnosed narcissist, and I've never been addicted to anything in my life. I had no idea what I was going through. So I've kind of gone through this a lot of times in my life and I actually, like, you can be separated from the person and still be trauma bonded. So when my mom passed away, that's when I went through it with her. And it was like, I know that there's grief there, but this was like on another level.
Wow.
Like,
See, you didn't
Yeah.
share that until this point, and it was my kind of vibe that, and she passed when you were an adult, right?
Yeah, 2018.
Okay.
Hmm. So
So
not that long ago.
I would, I might think that along the way there, you figured it out and were able to manage it within yourself. But wow, even up until that point, that just goes to show how powerful trauma bonding is in terms of the chemical situation. Now, you mentioned a relationship, and it sounds like there was that was trauma bonding as well.
Oh, I've been trauma bonded to everyone. I don't know, maybe my son's biological father who was a narcissist, but definitely, my husband and then this last guy that I dated. And when I separated from him, I thought I was going to die. I didn't like, they talk about go no contact and I did all of that, but I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, I don't love him like that. I mean, it wasn't even that long term of a relationship. Like, but that's when I actually did a lot of deep diving on trauma bonding because that part, I guess I just didn't even really understand the strength it had and how it keeps pulling you back because you're addicted. You're just so addicted to this person, the highs and the lows, even though, I mean, I couldn't stand the guy anymore. Truth be told, I mean, there's a whole another story and a whole chapter in my book about what happened with him and what he had me wrongly arrested. But I was like addicted, just addicted.
Why do you think that this has shown up in your life multiple times?
Well, clearly, it comes from how I was definitely raised in childhood, and it's so familiar to me. Like, these
Hmm.
people were my butterflies when I got around them. And until I really started doing a deep dive of like, why, why would I be attracted to this kind of person? And there it
Yeah.
was. You
So
know,
I don't want to say the classic, but it sounds like that's what you were comfortable with from childhood and whatever that might be. And then the next person comes along, then the next person comes along, and it just feels this is the way it's supposed to be. And some will even say, okay, by the way, no judgment here. Well, I've been through a lot. I've attracted people
it's,
that shouldn't be in my life. Yes. But it's almost as if we pull them to us or they
mm,
find us because and people talk about energetic vibration. You put it out there, it's
yep,
almost like you're transmitting a signal and somebody's like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, hi, my name is, and nice to meet you, Sherry. And then
yeah.
there it begins. Do you believe that can be one of the reasons why we attract or we gravitate to these people that don't support us?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I picked them. I picked them all. I mean, I didn't pick my parents, but I, every guy, I picked them. 1,000%. Um,
Well,
they
can I
had the
interject here for a
facade
second? Can I interject
that I
one little
liked.
thing here?
Yeah.
There are some in the metaphysical world that believe that you did pick your parents, as did I. That's the belief.
Yes. Yes.
And if
I
you
do
go
too.
if you go deeper into that, there's you might have picked them from a past life
Mhm.
because there were things that needed to get resolved or healed. So, and that's why you picked your parents. Yeah, that's a belief of
Yeah.
some. Not to go too woo here, but that's that's part of it.
Nope.
Um, hmm.
I I do believe that. I've delved into going back into past lives. We're going off on a tangent, but
Oh, by
I
the way, I don't mean to cut you off again, but I had my first ever past life regression after all these years. Finally, did it a week and a half ago. Whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, it's not about me, but all I'll say is it's hard to believe in and fathom it. And it wasn't anything crazy. I was a farmer. Um, Seems like around the 1800s. But here's the deal, and it's hypnotherapy, right?
Mhm.
And you're in another life.
Mhm.
Do I believe it? I'm about 65% saying yes. But why? Because the emotions that came up during the past life regression were real. I'm like, why am I upset? Why is
Yeah.
this hurt so bad? Why? There was one moment where I find myself on a farm. You know, there's a horse, barn, everything, house is over there. You know, time went on during the regression. We're talking. And I'm like, yeah, I'm married, but I'm like, you know, where's my wife? I don't see her around. I'm like, all of a sudden, boom, she died. That's why she's not around. And then we went deeper, and then I was at her bedside, and then got very emotional, like somebody was dying. And why would I feel that way? It never happened, at least in this lifetime.
Mm.
So that makes me feel like this
Yeah.
stuff could be real, because why would you feel those emotions like that? That's it.
Mhm.
We digress, but it was all in the territory.
Yeah. No, I believe it that I've done a lot of that, and
Hmm.
almost every I don't know about my son's biological father, but my husband, this last guy, my mom, one of my brothers, I've had past lives with, and I've seen them. Many
You've
of
seen,
them.
whoa. You did past life regressions, and the people in your life, you saw them in a past
Hmm.
life?
Hmm. Yep.
Wow. Oof.
Yeah.
I don't
A
even know what to
lot.
say.
A lot.
It's pretty wild.
So I was married to my husband in past life.
You were married to your
Yep.
husband in a past life.
Hmm.
Why do
Yeah.
you think, well, do you think that's true?
Yeah.
You do?
Oh,
What,
yeah.
why?
Hmm.
Why?
Um, there's just a lot of familiarities when I met him, like things that just
Okay.
I don't know. And a lot of times I actually like I don't know if it's a premonition. I don't know what you call it. Because for me, something will just like pop in my head and I'm like, oh, I knew that person. Or oh, this happened. Or I don't know. It to me, it's just matter of fact when I work with my energy worker, she's like, oh, well, it's from past life. Like I've done this lifetime almost identical to what I'm doing now before.
Wow.
Before I ever even gave her any information way back in the beginning, she started talking about a past life. She's like, you've done this lifetime before. She didn't know what happened to me. And she just went over like it was almost identical to what I'm going through. And I'm like, how could you know that?
Well, Sherry, why the hell would you want to do it again?
Because I got to get it right. I got to break these karmic patterns
Uh,
because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's why
well,
I don't want
I
to
get
do
you.
it again.
I get you, and I
I
have
don't.
this notion that, and it actually was spawned from what my mom used to always say, and she's been gone for about 6 years, but she used to, those things your parents say, those little phrases, and go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow. And like, what the hell does that mean when you're a kid? What are you talking about? And now as I get older, I see that, if it's the river of life, that you're flowing down the river of life, and you might grab a rock, you might grab a branch. I don't want to go that way. That's not where I want to go. But the universe and life is taking you that way. That's you need to go that way to learn, to figure some things out. And you can fight it. You can hold on to that rock. I'm not going, but eventually the current's going to pull you. You're going with the flow anyway. So you might as well just go as opposed to fighting it. But it sounds like you repeated this because you needed to get it right at some point. That's
you
right?
need to heal. You need to heal the past traumas. And exactly the metaphor that you just gave is what I say all the time now that I'm more in my healing journey. I'm certainly not going to have enough years in this lifetime. I'll have to do more work, but I always say we create our own suffering because we don't let go of things that aren't for us.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You know?
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
It's like hanging on to that rock. I don't want to go that way. Well, you're going. So you can go with cut up hands from trying to cling to that rock that's going to cut you up. You're going to be struggling. You're going to be tired. You're going to be suffering. Or you can just let go.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah. But letting go also means making changes that could change your life. And I had a conversation with somebody that's connected to me about 3 hours ago, essentially about this, of something that happened in my life 13-ish years ago. And why the hell did I not take action at that moment? And it's everything that we're saying here, because I let time go by, and life would be radically different right now if I acted on it as I should have. But why? Maybe not strong enough. Maybe, you got to change your life, your family, all of that. I should have went with the flow. But you can't.
Mama's always right, Steve.
They're all just, yeah. Whether you love them or not.
Mama's always right.
Whether you have issues with them or not. Well, okay. I didn't have a close relationship with my dad. My parents got divorced when I was very young. My dad said 3 things to me. And this is these I remembered. And he wasn't very spiritual. I barely even saw him. But this is what I got. Breathe. The guy was right. Breathe. And I'm sure you will agree that is kind of the reset, magical reset. Learn to read and learn to dance. And that's the 3 things that I got from him. But the breathing thing, once I started mastering that and how much it makes a difference in your life. Whoa. When times of trouble, breathe. It's okay. Go ahead.
Can we touch on that dancing thing?
Go right ahead.
Do you know why he said that?
Yeah, because he's a ladies' man, and he would go and dance with women. But what else you got for me?
That is part of somatic healing. That's movement.
I hear you on that.
And you can't be unhappy and dance.
I've even done podcasts with dance therapists, movement therapists. Yes, you're right. And I never made that connection. I think I need a moment. Wow. Interesting. You've dedicated your life to this, helping people that have helped them overcome narcissistic abuse, all these challenges with the books and everything. How do we find you? If somebody's going through this, trying to figure it out, looking for the strength and courage to make a change in their life, how do we connect with you?
My best way to get a hold of me, and there's also a lot of resources, is my website, which is soulfullywild.com.
Thank you for today. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for the
Steve.
Somatic healing. I was actually going to mention that word along the way here, and you've reframed a little bit for me there. Interesting. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Looking forward next time we get together.
I appreciate you too. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.